Welcome to Skytale Insights. We're live here at the AmSpa MSS show with some Colorescience folks. We've got Alisha and Merlo and Heather Goodchild with us. Thanks for joining, coming over.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your experience here. It sounds like it's your first time here, so we'd love to hear about it real quick.
I think, we both have been in this industry for over 2 decades, so we've attended a lot of conferences.
Yeah.
But this is shockingly our first time here.
Yeah.
We've known about it for a long time.
Yeah.
From a content perspective, I'm pretty impressed with the level of speakers, the variety of tracks that they have from clinical to business, marketing. And then I think the networking opportunity, that's my jam. Like meeting people, connecting with doctors and business owners and industry friends, that's quality as well.
Yeah, I think excellent business track content, and we've heard that from our partners here. They've really enjoyed the business sessions, and I think for us, it's interesting to see how many conversations about expanding and adding new locations, and so they design the content and tracks perfectly for
and
that.
It's funny too, like I've been saying since we've been here, the last couple of years, it's always like I have 1 practice, or I have 2 practices, and now like this year I've met people who have 10 practices and 12, and so it's just gotten larger and larger, and the floor here has gotten larger and larger, and so from a retail perspective, obviously, maybe just give a little bit of backstory of Colorescience, who we all are, and maybe just how you guys kind of integrate into the industry.
Sure. Yeah. So Colorescience is a skin health brand.
Yep.
We fit very well into medical spa, dermatology, plastic surgery, esthetician-owned clinics, and where practices typically integrate us is, we call it pre-procedure, post-procedure, and then really where the magic happens is in the everyday home care regimen. And so for us, people come to Colorescience because they're looking for a leading mineral sunscreen option, and then they're shocked at we're more than just sunscreen. We're able to provide them so much more skincare, color therapeutics, and so they're getting a multifunctional product that gets people excited to wear their sunscreen every day.
Awesome.
It's nice to have a hero product. Our hero product is the Sun-Forgettable Total Protection Brush-On Shield. Oh,
Our whole office has one.
Yes,
you
exactly.
shared that.
So you know.
So everyone's wiping their faces around our office.
So that's usually the gateway drug that gets them to be like, oh, I've heard about your brush. Now the brush is in its 25th year.
Pretty close.
So it's the staple for you all.
But it's been as far as a hero product. But as Heather said, I think being in this industry and saying what makes different retail brands, stand out.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that Colorescience does so well is being multifunctional, not just in what we treat and address, but how it can be worn and the way that it appears and on your skin and looks and feels.
Well, and that's the cool part about this show every year. It's like innovation is like so key on the floor. So I mean, obviously you've been around for a long time. So how's kind of the innovation in Colorescience and how you guys approach the market?
It's completely transformed. So if you think about what Alisha said, the brand being around 24 years ago is really known as a mineral makeup line. And then about 11 years ago, went through a complete purposeful brand transformation where we said, this is really a skin health focused brand. And there's some exciting things that are being done with SPF, and we're going to continue to innovate on it. So if you think about SPF innovation, Colorescience has always been the leader, the first one to turn it from a cream to a powder, create a powder sunscreen, and then to bring the EnviroScreen technology to powders, to creams, to things that you can put on your eyes, your lips, your cheeks, and really addressing the total skin is, I think, what's made us a standout. And then it doesn't hurt to go viral,
Right. Well, we jumped right into it, but I'd love just introductions from y'all. I know we jumped right into Colorescience, but maybe give a little bit of background of you all.
Oh, goodness.
Go ahead.
You already got my name.
Yeah.
You said it so well. Thank you for pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah.
So I am the Executive Director of Professional Relations at Colorescience. I've been here 6 years. It was 6 years in January.
Awesome. Congrats.
And so my role is a unicorn role. It really is. It's very special. Not only is the company in itself very unique and special, but what I get to do is I do a little bit of our clinical study oversight. I work with our educational programs. I work with our industry partnerships and identifying really cool people we want to meet and do things together, which brought us on this couch, I think. As well as strategic partnerships in industry on the partnership side, and gets to do a little bit of everything, which is super unique. But I've been in the industry since 1999.
Wow.
So a long time. So I predate Botox cosmetic approval. I'm older than Botox, you guys. But I don't look it thanks to all we do.
There you go.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of growth and evolution and disruption in this marketplace, and it's really fun to be a part of a company that does things differently that's global, big enough to take care of you, but intimate enough to sit down and listen to what you're doing, what your feedback is, and act on that too.
So my career started in the clinic. I too am older than Botox. So I started as an esthetician in a dermatology clinic in 1998, basically. And
whereabouts was it?
In Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
So I did that while I was going to university and getting my undergraduate degree. For me, I have really grown up in dermatology, and so it's exciting to see this intersection and where the industry continues to evolve, where the consumer is now demanding that things aren't just efficacious, but they feel good, they look good. You actually want to wear them every day. You want to have your brush out and reapplying multiple times a day. And that has led me to be with Colorescience, and I've been with the brand for about 10 years now, this year, and I get to work alongside Alisha, our sales team, our education team, our innovation team, and work on a lot of business strategy.
Awesome. Well, how's kind of the show been for you here and seeing everyone? You mentioned networking, kind of seeing everyone in the space. What's been your experience?
It's been fantastic. We'll definitely do it again. That's our takeaway is we will be here again next year, and I think it's great to see the integration of people who are bringing their entire practices. So when you have a show where it's not just one element of the
it's
practice,
not just clinical business,
right? Exactly. Everybody's getting something from it. Then it's a really exciting show, and it'll have impact that lasts beyond just this weekend.
And I think that's the mindset now of the aesthetic practice owner. Now it's not just the doctor only or the business leader or the head clinician goes to these events. It's now, the patient experience is not just me when they're in my chair or in my surgery room, right? It's what happens when they make first contact with us, whether that's digitally in the social media and the virtual space or when they're walking in the door. And it's so encouraging to see the investment in everybody in the ecosystem of the practice.
Well, and you think about like kind of the growth of the industry and where it's kind of going. And so, with these practices that are now multi-site and growing into 10, 12, 15 locations, how's kind of that relationship between them work with y'all? Like, are you along from day one to to location 15? Like, how does your team integrate with some of that growth?
It's a great question, and it's a bit of both, depending upon when they come to the brand. So some people will find us and we get to be part of the journey from day one when they literally have one person and then they're just expanding to 3 people. And then we watch them go all the way to 100 staff members, right? Sometimes we'll walk in and they're already at 15 locations, and then we're moving into that. Typically, we have a very structured rollout plan that we do and we customize with the partner to identify what's going to be best. With bigger practices, we'll usually beta test 1 or 2 locations, get that secret sauce and get it really diving, and then we roll it out to the rest of them.
And so you think about like a large scale, so probably we'll end on this question. Obviously private equity is in the space and they're coming in and they're helping practices, they're helping grow, and they're helping kind of put that growth behind it. But how do you kind of work with those groups? Because obviously there's bigger buying power, there's bigger need for more skincare. So what does that look like?
I think it starts with being sensitive to know what's happening when it's the right time for us to know as their partner, right? That they're making this transition in their business, right? That they're going forward and getting some equity back in what they've done and supporting them there from the beginning when we can be aware of it. I think it's really knowing and understanding how the practice is going to change. So before we even get into ordering and what that's going to look like and processes and systems, is how do we support them through that transition? And when I first met you at another conference, my eyes were open to that as an opportunity that industry doesn't know a whole lot about. And so it really allows us to be sensitive to that. So it's not just saying, oh, it's going to be business as usual. It's saying, okay, things might change. How do we come alongside you during that change? How will we work with the corporate entities now that are kind of maybe running more of the show, depending on how their model is? And then making sure that there's good communication from our level. So I work with a lot of times those corporate private equity firms at the corporate level, but then we bring in the area directors and the Colorescience crew team so everybody knows what's happening and there's no disconnect. Because one of the things is when you lose that communication and it's a scary transition, we don't want to make sure that we are not sensitive to that. We're supporting that, and when we're ready to go, then how do we grow with you in this new environment and space that you have? Would you add anything?
No, she covered it perfectly. I think the biggest thing is knowing that you're in a partnership, and so sometimes that means that there's going to be something that can go on either side, and then you're in the partnership together. So you need to give each other a little bit of space sometimes to make that transition happen, and then you move forward with a new plan, whatever those new set of goals are.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This was fun. This is actually our first live show here.
Oh,
so
it is?
You are the inaugural live show at AMSPA.
Well, hopefully we set the bar high
That's
for
right.
everybody else.
Well, thank you so much, and
Thank you,
we'll talk
Jamie.
soon.
All right, thanks, James.